So now we're going to talk about other pieces of equipment that I like to call calming agents, and there are calming agents for the honeybees, and then there are calming agents for the beekeepers. And when we use a balance of the equipment that's available to us, and we can stay calm and enjoy the experience of being around our bees, that is the best way to go. So one way to help calm the bees is to use a smoker. The reason why a smoker works is when we puff smoke through the hive, it sends the honeybees into sort of an emergency alert mode. They smell the smoke, and they, in their minds or in their collective, they are alerted to perhaps start to gather stores, because they may be in the middle of a forest fire and therefore need to abandon their current hive and go make a home somewhere else. So when there's smoke present, honeybees are more interested in the life of the hive rather than what some sort of commotion in the hive, like a beekeeper might be doing. So smokers can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes for people to learn to light and keep lit. I like to tell people that the smoker is more like providing incense for your bees rather than like a foil to keep them away from you. As you are becoming more comfortable spending time with your honeybees and not fearing being stung, your use of smoke may reduce or go completely away. So one of the things that a lot of beekeepers like to use as a fuel, because it's cheap and easy to find and burns readily, is cotton. So this smoker has been used many years and has a good coating of soot in there, but we'll just light the cotton on fire and then gently puff the billows. Some beekeepers like to add a little chip of beeswax, as beeswax is extremely flammable. So remember that as you're working in the hive, the bottom of the smoker can become extremely hot. That's the reason why there's the cage around it, so you don't burn yourself. So be mindful that this is in fact a metal can full of fire that we're creating the illusion of a forest fire for our bees. So now that I've got my my cotton smoldering here, let's see if we can close the lid and start to get it to puff. So we want to avoid being in a position where we're relighting our smoker in the middle of an inspection. Once you're inside the hive and the lid's off and everything is open, you really want to make sure that all of your equipment is ready to go. So, see, I didn't achieve a lit smoker there. So give it another go here. And a critical component of keeping your smoker lit is getting enough of a base flame going there, so that when you close it, and it kind of reduce the amount of oxygen that's available to it, it doesn't smother itself out. So let's see if I managed it this time. You can add, some people like to add herbs into their smoker as just sort of a offering to their bees. You can burn lavender or rosemary. and give an aromatic component to your smoke. Oh. Let's see. I would encourage you to avoid the fueled smoker fuel that is offered in some of the catalogs. It's like a briquette of, you know, it's soaked in a chemical, and yes, it will definitely light faster, but then you're lighting a chemical fire to smoke into your bees. I think I'm finally getting it here.
Right.
So when, and we'll get to this when we install our bees, but when you're doing the initial inspection, you want to keep this in front of your hive entrance area and puff it just a bit so that the smell of smoke gets in and it'll waft up, and they will fan and they'll actually carry that smoke smell right through the hive. So a smoker is a useful calming agent for the bees. Another tact that some beekeepers like to use is a spray bottle with either a honey water syrup or a sugar syrup that they will bring to the bees. I like that way of doing inspections. In my mind, it's kind of like bringing a bottle of wine to your friend's house before they invite you over. So creating a dynamic where you're not trying to protect yourself from the bees, but offer them something more interesting to do than, you know, be worried about you. So when you spray the bees down with either the sugar water or the honey syrup, it encourages them to then lick all of that up and store it into their hive, because their primary interest is in storage and survival. So sugar water or honey water spritzed into your hive in just a regular spray bottle is also another way to go, and then you don't have to worry about burning yourself or keeping your smoker lit or any of those things. Another thing that helps keep some beekeepers calm is protective equipment. They'll want the face veils and, you know, full suits. Some people like to wear gloves. Some people they feel like they have better use of their hands without gloves. So the kind of personal equipment that a beekeeper chooses is wide and varied. If you would like to use a face mask type of net, I always encourage people to just go ahead and get the one that's connected to the jacket so that you can avoid a situation of an innocent bee, you know, crawling up your neck, finding the path between your veil and veil in your skin and accidentally stinging you on the face. So, you know, a lot of beekeepers find those kinds of things very helpful. I like to let people know that it's important that if you've decided to become a beekeeper, that you recognize that not getting stung is not the primary goal. You are going to get stung as a beekeeper. It is a little bit uncomfortable. If you're actually allergic, then beekeeping is probably not for you. So stinging is a normal part of beekeeping that we just have to get used to. There's one other piece of equipment that I want to talk about, and that is the hive tool. There are fancy beekeeping specific hive tools you can get. This is actually a paint scraper. You can also use a pocket knife like your grandpa used to carry around, or my grandpa used to carry around. You can buy a normal hive tool, but the reason why you need this chisel edge is as the bees start to coat the inside of the hive when they're building their home, one of the things that they produce is called propolis, and it's bee medicine, and it's very, very, very sticky, and it will cause all of the top bars to be glued together. So you'll use this to very gently pry, and we'll talk more about being gentle in the hive when we get into the inspection. But so this is your hive tool.